Welcome to the show where today we're going to sift through the digital dustbins of cyberspace. Broadcasting from our studio, nestled in the tech hub of beautiful Vancouver, BC, Canada, we're joined by a computer whiz. He'll deny that, by the way, who's ready to navigate through the bite-sized questions we have for him on the chaos of online safety. So let's get ready as we embark on a fun journey with a good friend of safety debris. It'll be a journey through the wild world of cyber shenanigans. Welcome to another episode of the podcast that confirms safety does indeed have a personality.
We are so pleased to have you join us because on this podcast, we get to know people on a lighter, more personal and fun level who are affiliated with safety, including mental health, leadership, coaching, authors, investigators, safety professionals, and in this case, a computer whiz. So this is Safety Debris with me, Tanya Steele.
And me, Richard Dulong. And our special guest today has a love for Montreal smoked meat sandwiches. Used to hang high in the sky, dangling glass windows, ready to be installed in skyscrapers. And he has been mistaken as a relative of one of the most world-famous EDM DJs around, David Guetta. And apparently, he is someone who does not listen to music. Ever. Oh, dear.
Is that right? Our guest is the founder. He's awesome. Our guest is the founder and CEO of the Canadian safety management software company that is based in downtown Vancouver, BC. He is a dad, a husband, currently lives in Langley, BC, is a wonderful friend of ours, and we're so great to have him here.
Yeah, today's guest is Gabe Guetta. Hello,
Hello. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for the invite. That's one of the best intros I've ever heard. That is incredible. Incredible.
And just when I thought we could be friends, you don't like music? What?
Well, that's what I was trying. I'm sorry. I don't know. My wife is upset with me. Everyone I meet is upset. It's not that I don't like music. I mean, I have a lot of respect for music. I like it. It's just I don't tend to listen to it ever.
It's a bit of a hole you're in. I see you trying to dig out. It's all good.
I know. I'm trying. And I also have an issue with remembering names of artists or music that they might sing, even some of the most famous songs. It's bad. I'm very bad at any type of board games and like Cranium. I can't play that game. I can't play Trivia.
So you're the guy you're going to pick last. You're going to be the last person we pick to be on our team?
Okay. You don't get picked?
Yeah.
So the question is, what does somebody have on their playlist who doesn't listen to music? That is the million-dollar question, for which I have no answer. But I'm thinking maybe this one. Listen. Yes, and there's also this one. And this one. Yep, that's about it. That's the playlist, folks. And all about, they all come from the greatest hits from Marcel Marceau. If you're not familiar with Marcel Marceau, Google him. Yep, he's a famous mime. So, all silence and all that sort of thing, kind of all comes together. So, lucky for me, self-proclaimed...
I just soak in my own thoughts, Richard. That's good. I love it.
Yeah. That's why you are who you are and the success that you are. You're in your thoughts and then you get them out. So
I have listened to music. I used to, so one of my co-founder and me, Robbie Clifford, who's the CTO and co-founder, we started something about a year ago where we started trying to do 3 or 4 runs every year, like 10Ks. Right. We're training for a half marathon. And he found, I was at the Fort Langley, there's a Fort Langley 10K that we did about 3 weeks ago. And I'm lining up next to him and he's like, "You don't run with headphones or music?" And I was like, "No, man, I don't run with anything. I just, work through my thoughts." He's like, "I think you're a psychopath." And I was like, "Robbie, I just find that I can work through things that I'm trying to think on and I can't really put them together. It really helps." He's like, "No, man, there's no excuse for that. You don't run with music or podcasts or anything."
That's so funny.
It was a reality check for him on who he got into business with. But I think it's normal. I think it's great.
And it is. And it's great for me because actually lucky for me. And I'll tell you why. I'm a self-proclaimed music junkie. I have been given carte blanche to select music on behalf of Gabe today. So
Yes.
with that opportunity upon me, I have chosen to go with the world famous DJ of EDM music,
Of course.
who our guest has been sort of mistaken for or associated with or related to, something like that. We'll get the details on that shortly, but first, get your dancing shoes out for some very sick tracks. Let's kick it off with, I'm going to say this is my all-time favorite David Guetta song, produced and co-written by him and sung by one of my favorite female vocalists. Here is Titanium by David Guetta and Sia on Safety Debris.
I'm bulletproof, nothing to lose. Far away, ricochet. You take your aim. Far away. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am Stone heart, machine gun, firing at the ones who run. Stone heart, those bulletproof glass. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am
All right. She is an amazing singer and a songwriter and vocalist. That is Sia. She comes from Adelaide, Australia originally. Interesting thing about her, she rocketed to stardom in the early 2000s, and then she quickly became very uncomfortable with her own fame. So she took a bit of a hiatus from performing, and then she focused on songwriting for other artists like Rihanna, Florida, and she collaborated and co-wrote that song with David Guetta. So there you go. Titanium, what a fantastic tune.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's super cool. And just for the record, Gabe, even when I go for a walk and hiking, I do not listen to music either. I generally only listen to it in my car, very loud, dancing so the people driving beside me look at me and go, "What's up?" And I'm
Yeah,
like,
that's kind of how I feel right now. I'm in a corner office. It's all glass right now in a room, and nobody knows what I like. He's just doing another meeting, and all of a sudden I'm dancing and putting my hands in the air, and for an extended period of time. So people are they're staring at. They have no idea what's going on. They think I've lost it.
You should have called your co-founder to stand outside the window and watch.
Oh, he would have just shaken his head.
Well, our guest today is Gabe Guetta. He's a good friend of both Tanya and me. Gabe and I have been enjoying smoked meat sandwiches together at this great little secret of a restaurant in the Lower Mainland.
Safety Meats.
Safety Meats. There you go. Safety Meats. Yeah, they're found right in Langley, right? Specifically in Langley. So if you're ever out this way, check them out.
Estrella's.
Yeah, they're just absolutely
so good.
Yeah, it's so good. Yeah. So the name of the place is called Estrella's, and we call what we call our get together is Safety Meats. So we have a little fun on the words there. But well, we also introduced Tanya to Safety Meats and the awesome deli Estrella's. But I don't know if you heard this story, Tanya, but it was there that Gabe had shared with me a time in his life when he was in Las Vegas with a few friends, and he felt some people felt that he was either if he wasn't David Guetta. He was certainly related to him and knew him very well. So they're like, what? And they were all like so excited to be hanging out with him. So Gabe, maybe you could tell us a little bit about that time.
Your little star?
Yeah, I was wondering where you're going with the Vegas conversation. I was like, what did I tell you about Vegas? This isn't for this isn't for podcasts.
Yes.
So yeah, I was in Vegas, and I think I must have been in my mid-20s, and David Guetta was a DJ there. And so we were at a pool party, and there's about 5 or 6 of us guys, and we were talking to a couple girls. And one of our friends who was single was trying to pick them up or whatever. And he's like, oh, this guy's related to David Guetta. And they're like, no way. He's like, yeah, he's his cousin. And we kind of knew he was going to like play that card. And I was like, yes. And they're like, prove it. And I pulled out my ID and showed them my ID. And they're like, wow, you are related. They're like, and then one of her friends walks over and they're like, this guy's related to David Guetta. And she's like, oh, that's awesome. I just met his other cousins over in that booth. Are you with them over in that cabana? And I was like,
what's the
you
likelihood?
gotta be kidding me. Like, no, I'm not related. Never met him. I haven't even listened to any of his songs. I thought maybe I could get into the show by saying, oh, I'm related to him. Here's the ID. But that threw that out the window because the cousins were already there. So didn't work. Didn't work.
Did they then decide this guy's a sociopath? He doesn't even listen to David Guetta music.
Yeah, exactly. There's a trend there, Richard. There's a trend.
Yeah, that's too fun.
Well, we hope that everyone will stick around for the entire show, because in this episode, we're going to find out more about the name of the company and if it was named after a Greek goddess. What are the advantages of using a digital platform for health and safety? What is the future of AI in health and safety? And what will digital management platforms do with AI, if anything? So all that and more coming up here in this show.
Yeah, so excited. So, Gabe, why don't you people are listening, and why don't you tell us who is Salus? Where did the name come from? And because we know that we made fun of you at the beginning, that we say that you're a big computer guy, but you're not. You're actually a construction guy that has started this company, Salus. So, tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, I'll tell you a little short story on how Salus got started. So, yeah, when I've told a few people this now. I am quite comfortable with it. I didn't own a laptop when I started Salus. Didn't own a laptop, didn't know anything about software.
Didn't listen to music.
Didn't listen to music. I was a lost soul. But my career started, as you guys know, in construction. I was a laborer in construction, working actually with Cressy Developments locally as a laborer in one of their high-rise projects. Actually, it started on a wood frame project in Richmond, transitioned into high-rise. And my goal was to work my way up in the ranks and become a site superintendent. I was going to go to carpentry school. And then I had actually booked my apprenticeship, and somebody approached me to come work for them, a company that specialized in window installation in high-rises. And I took that opportunity and transitioned my career into that. And I spent 10 years with that company and had no plans of starting a safety software. I mean, we've had about 100 employees. I worked my way up into that business where I was running the company and a partnership type role there. And our software that we used was basically email. And eventually we started using Dropbox as we brought in a safety professional to manage kind of the stuff we were dealing with. But
how thing has changed, from Dropbox to where you are now. I'm sorry. That's amazing. When people start to hear where you are now with this software.
Even for us, Dropbox was cutting edge. It was crazy. But here's the reality is, like, before software, okay, I'm going to go back to when I started in construction. When I started in construction, safety was wear a hard hat, steel-toe boots, and a high-vis vest. And that was just starting to get enforced. That was about when I was probably 18, so 20 years ago, plus years ago. And if you were doing anything dangerous, do it on a Sunday because no one was around. And that's just kind of that was how the industry worked. And you just go get your job done. And it's not that we didn't want to work safe. We just didn't know what we didn't know. And then that transformed when we started working with some of the we were always working with them, but some of the larger general contractors, developers started to change the way they enforce health and safety. I describe it as more of a field level compliance based health and safety, where it's like we go on site for the first time and all of a sudden they're like, "Where's your safety manual?" And we're like, "What is that? I've never heard of this thing."
Yeah.
And then we were forced to build the safety manual and program, and then prove that you're following it. And it's like, what do you mean prove that we're following it? And then all of a sudden comes all the daily forms and tracking certificates and everything else. And we had 55-year-old, 6-year-old window installers that I'm telling you hadn't filled out a paper form in 20 years. Like this was like safety alone to get them to adopt the mindset was a huge adoption curve. And we ended up winning that battle and getting the company behind the why behind why we were doing it. And I started to learn and understand more around health and safety and why this mattered. I think when it was first enforced, everyone, including myself, looked at it as like, this is just something that the big companies are doing to protect themselves. Our employees looked at it as, oh, you're just doing this to protect the company.
Yeah.
But then as I learned more about complacency and how that worked and how the safety programs designed to break that up. And then, yes, as you do that, it protects the business, but really it's anchoring it in, this is something that is being done to enforce that companies prove that they are actually providing a safe work environment for their employees. And I bought into that, and our company bought into it.
That's awesome. I feel like I had this exact same conversation literally yesterday. And I know this was a long time for you, but we're having these same conversations with people now. And I love that you said it isn't just about protecting, sort of covering your butt, but it really is actually for the workers to ensure that their employers, in fact, doing everything that they're required to do for they to go home safe. Anyway, keep going. I love that you said that.
It's a good point, because I do think people get lost in that today.
Yeah.
I think they get lost in the checkbox type safety, where it's, I've done this form, I've done this, I've done that, I've done that. The company's protected, and I understand why, because when you're enforcing this or implementing it for the very first time, it is very administrative heavy. And that's, well, I mean, why Salus was created, but we'll get into that later. And so you get lost in that. You get lost in the repercussions if something happens and the business isn't protected. And you lose sight of the fact that this is all for the workers. This is all to make sure that the workers can go home safe. And we lose track of that. So yeah, we were going through that journey, but I mean, we ended up hiring a safety professional to come in and help work on really the administrative side, but also doing site checks, culture around health and safety, everything else. And the reality was, I mean, we were paper-based. We were physically driving forms out, dropping them off, picking them up. And by the time they'd get reviewed to check if they were done properly or if there were holes, it was months later, really, if they ever were able to manage to check the information. So for me at the top of the company, I always had this feeling of liability. Like something's wrong. There's a 20-year-old worker on the side of the building and their fall protection training is expired, which has happened. Not once, like on a regular basis.
Regularly, yes.
And so
it's happening again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, there it goes over there.
Just look out your window.
That's a stat. Hey, every minute, how many new or workers in the industry have expired certificates and they're working in. So I had that feeling all the time, and we went years with this system and tried to improve it, and finally the straw that broke the camel's back was we had an incident on a job site where somebody dropped a steel L angle, 10-foot, 12-foot long L angle from the 14th floor of a building, and almost into a parking lot and almost killed somebody. Luckily, nobody was hurt, but it was terrifying, and an investigation happened, and we had brought a crew from Alberta over to push a job and finish the job, and they brought Alberta-based forms, and even some of the forms that they didn't have access to some of the forms they needed to do their job properly because we hadn't gotten there to give it to them. And so some of the forms were done, they were Alberta-based, they weren't BC-based, and then the rest was missing. And so I ended up getting written up for that myself at the top of the company. And I remember having a conversation with a few people, our safety professional that came in and represented us, but also the people around me and the general contractor, developer, and it was made very clear that the liability that's not just on the business but on myself if somebody did get killed, like it's very significant. And from there, my mentality through construction and now in my career today is like, you have to take failure and utilize it to push yourself forward faster than if it never happened before, and use it to empower you to do better. And then I remember sitting around with our team, trying to figure out how to do this. How are we going to make sure that this makes us better?
Yeah.
And we couldn't get past paper. There's no way that we would get out of this reactive state without progressing, because there's no real-time insight into what's happening in the field. We don't know if the form is done. We don't know if the workers are properly using these forms to break up complacency and work safe, or if certificates are expired. We'd be doomed to repeat.
Yeah.
And so then that's actually when somebody said, hey, you should think about building an app. I'm sure there's some other people in the industry that would, once you build it, would get in and
Once
use
you
it with
build it, they will come.
Once you build it, they will come. And so the naive Gabe that didn't know anything about software, didn't own a laptop, funny enough, coincidentally, just found out from my friend Robbie Clifford, who's now the CTO co-founder. We were at a party. I was talking to his wife, and I was like, what does Robbie really even do? I mean, I know he's in tech, but what does he do? I drive downtown in Vancouver. I see him walking to work at 9:30. My day's half over. What does he do, Justine? And she's like, well, actually, he owns a company now that builds mobile apps and web apps and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, I knew he owned a company, but mobile
And he's
apps,
a sociopath, part-time.
Yeah. And
How
so
about
then
that for a divine moment, hey?
I'm
No
telling
kidding.
you, if that didn't happen, it would have never, like, if the conversation 2 weeks earlier didn't happen, I realized that he built mobile apps. And for me, mobile apps was like, oh, it's this thing that you probably build in a few weeks, and all of a sudden it just blows up, right? like all these apps that you see on your phone. And so I talked to him and I said, Robbie, I got an idea for an app. And he said, in words that I can't use on this podcast, get out of here, man. You're the 10th person this month that has told me that they have an idea for an app, and no way. And then I pushed harder and it was consistent, and then he finally investigated, and he's like, hey, you might actually have something here. And then we his company built it in kind of a partnership type agreement with me.
Nice.
And then from there we ended up, I left Tross Construction in January 2018, and we got our first customer in September of 2018.
So
go ahead, Ted.
No, you go. Oh no, after you, Richard.
Oh, really? Please allow me to curtsy here and allow you. And here we are. No one's going anywhere.
Right.
Because we've all forgotten what we wanted to say.
No, it's okay.
So Gabe, really, and we're going to play a song here in a second, but really from 2018 to now, this company has blown up so much, and so much that you've really got buy-in. You've just been awarded some funding to really grow the company, and I think after the next song we're going to come back and we're going to talk a little bit about that. And I just wanted to say, thank you. Thank you for stepping out of the box. Thank you for sort of being obedient to that little still small voice call in your heart, and literally sitting down and going, how can we make it better, and not just fall in with, well, this is all we can do. You literally actively stepped into the action of making it better. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. Truly, you're a rock star. You're my favorite person.
Excellent.
Thank you.
So it is time to listen to another song that I've chosen for Gabe, and we're staying with the theme of his surname by playing, of course, the music of David Guetta. And when we come back after that song, we'll find out about that funding and the information that he can share with you on Salus. And we're going to find out a little bit more about the future of AI in health and safety. So this is something I'm truly curious about. So here's a huge hit for David Guetta, featuring the vocal talent of Usher. And this is Without You on Safety Debris.
Can't erase, so I'll take blame, but I can't accept that we're estranged without you. Without you, I take one more sleepless night without you. Without you. I won't soar, I won't climb. If you're not here, I'm paralyzed without you. Without you, I can't look, I'm so blind. I lost my heart, I lost my mind without you. I am lost, I am vain. I will never be the same without you. Without you, without you, without you.
Oh, yeah, another great song by David Guetta. And that song is sung by Usher. And one of the things that is really interesting about David Guetta is just how popular he is. And of course, he started DJing in the late 80s. He's from Paris, France. And he had always a good little following, but he kind of skyrocketed to super fame when he started to align himself with some of these superstars. And just to give you a bit of an idea about his success and popularity, he has sold 10 million albums. He's sold 68 million singles, and he has enjoyed more than 14 billion streams. That's
Wow.
billions with a B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
he's-
that's great. That's great for David Guetta or Guetta. I think he says Guetta, I say Guetta. But it's great for him. But try putting something on YouTube that I like. For me, if there's no people typing Guetta, it's like, where's my video
Yeah.
on YouTube? Nowhere to be
You're
seen.
lost. Yeah, no.
Lost. Yeah, I got billions and billions of people watching the other one, and
You're on that-
maybe they accidentally fall on mine.
you're like 400 web pages later, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So just before we went on the song, Gabe, we were talking about sort of your company or the company, not yours, because I know you're very team driven. So the company that everybody's worked so hard over these years really excelled. Again, you just got some funding to grow the company. So tell us really quickly about sort of where your dream is or where the dream is going right now about it. And then we're going to talk about the AI after that. So where are we now? What are we doing?
Yeah. Happy to dive into that. Before I dive into that, I will comment on one thing that I've really learned through this process. And you said it's about I'm very team orientated. And I think when I was in construction, I of course team orientated, but through that career, I was the doer, right? I was a laborer. Then I went into window installation, and I didn't install windows. I did service work to the begin, and then I started managing people and did I could install windows, but the point is I could do everything. I could do it. So whenever there was something that needed to be done, we needed to push a job, I could, and I would put on a tool belt and go and push that. And so when I went into software, I couldn't do anything. Like this is literally I wasn't good. I'm not an academic. I wasn't good in high school. I left high school thinking that I wanted to get into business, but I didn't get the grades, and I felt like that was not attainable for me. And so I went into construction. Not that I didn't have respect for construction, but to be honest, one of the issues with the industry is that by the time you get out of high school, construction is the second choice for almost everyone because that's how it's portrayed in schooling. And that was the case for me. And so going into this world, I'm surrounded by software development, which I know I can't do. I can't code. The other side of it is like building presentations and PowerPoint and stuff like that, working in Excel. I still cannot do any of this stuff. So it's such a humbling process. I am consistently faced with the new experience in every step of this journey is the rate in which Salus grows is me identifying what I don't know, right?
Wow, what a great,
You don't know what you don't know, but
yeah,
the
what a
Mhm.
great
speed is like
statement, though.
identifying like, oh, I didn't also know this, and this is a problem, and then trying to fill that. And really what it is filling it with people with experience that have done certain things before that can help elevate the business. The
Mhm.
business is nothing. Like if me by myself, this wouldn't exist. Not even close. Not
Yeah.
even close. The first thing was Robbie, and then it was bringing my brother in actually, who helped with support and customer success, and then it was and so on and so forth. And it's like people say, oh, you can't do it, you can do it alone. And some of these leaders, they can do a lot of it alone. You hear these software companies that scale to 100 million in revenue, and they have, back in the day, they would have 10 employees or something crazy. That couldn't be further from the truth for me. So I just wanted to lay that down on kind of a learning for me. It's like, it's forced me to be a better leader because that's the only thing I could do, which was very
That's awesome.
hard.
Mhm.
I love that statement though. Like that's what makes a really good leader is identifying what I don't know and filling it with somebody who's extraordinary. And you've done that and you've done that recently. So you're
Yes.
about to push more.
Yes, yeah. So what we've done in Salus is I mean, Salus was built from I always want to I feel like we've built it for the industry, kind of from the industry, the eyes of the industry. I think software sometimes has an issue with they say they're building on partnerships and relationships, but they're really on the outside looking in. They care about scale, which is like just bringing in 1 million customers in 3 months and making billions of dollars, and they're not really solving problems. And I am always challenging our team. Like I say it all the time, we're talking at the industry. We have to be talking from the industry with the industry. We have to be on their side of the fence. Like I love how companies like Hilti does it, where their reps like have true relationships with like the superintendents on site and everything like that. And
Mhm.
so that's what so it's about the customer. What we started with is I didn't know how to scale software. I didn't know how to really sell it properly. I knew what the problem was, and Robbie knew how to build it. And we anchored it in that at the beginning. We anchored it in going on site, building a product for the field worker, because first people say it's mobile first, which kind of means like they built, like we truly built it. We didn't have a safety professional mindset. Like I'm not a safety professional.
Mhm.
I'm a business leader and construction worker. And so we started with the construction worker side, because I said, if we don't win that adoption,
Mhm.
nothing matters. Nothing
True.
matters.
True story.
And then built it up to say, okay, now the safety professionals, what do you need in the administrative side, so that we don't make sacrifices on what they get first and say, okay, well, because we built this first, the field can't do this or that or the other thing. And so this whole journey has been about, okay, how do we go through this process, breaking down barriers to health and safety? Right now, it's hard for health. It's too many barriers every step of the way. Every step of the way. How do we break down these barriers? And when you introduce technology, the interesting thing is like, we're not just dealing with people in the office, like the safety professionals or whoever's in front of the desktop computer trying to solve their workflows. We have to solve physical workflows in the field. And when you take physical workflows and you take a software, most of the time what happens is they say, okay, this is how software works. This is how you work. Change your physical workflows to match this software limitation. And that's just the reality. What you're doing is really kind of inefficient, and you have to match this.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of software companies have trouble breaking into the field level of construction, because that's wrong. They're not doing their workflow in the incorrect way. The physical workflow, yes, can they get more efficient? Of course, the industry can get it more efficient, but we have to make our product work as efficiently as paper. Has to,
Nice.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then pull the power from that. And so every barrier that we hit, we didn't say it was the industry. We'd say, look, we have to fix this. This is our problem. We have to find a way to break this barrier. Like online and offline capabilities is a good example. When you look at it from the outside looking in, it's like, oh, that's simple, just online or offline, and you can do both. It's like, well, actually, paper, what you need to be able to do is have a form, have multiple people work on the same form, have multiple companies potentially have access to that form, and take it into the parkade and go here and go here. So then imagine now you have to do that in a software. Not only do you have to have it for one user, you have to allow that user to invite multiple people to collaborate on one form, have
Yeah.
one of them go off online and offline, the other one go on, like, and so the complexity gets like 10x. Anyways, I'm kind of going on a rant, but that's kind of what we've based this on, is how do we continuously look at what the industry
Quick,
is
somebody
struggling
pull out
with.
that soapbox.
I know. And
we know
and-
that you're so
and provide
passionate about
value.
it. Yeah, you do
It's all about
provide
value to the
value.
customer.
It is.
And so yes, so we've just brought somebody else in to help us get to the next level. But I'll pause there. Maybe you have some questions. I tend to just keep going and I get excited. And
No,
our
this is-
team has like a little bell that they ring, and then I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I gotta slow down.
We didn't
Well, you
know
coulda-
that.
Jeez,
I'm
you could
kidding.
have told
They
us
don't
that.
have a bell, but now they will after they listen to this.
How about this? Ding, ding, ding,
Yeah,
ding.
yeah.
All right, here we
Focus bell, the focus bell.
So, real quickly, because we
Yeah.
want to play another song here from my selection for you. But,
Oh, great.
you know, technology rapidly changing by the hour. We all know that. AI or artificial intelligence, it's upon us. And there are, of course, mixed stories about AI, you know, a lot of some misunderstandings. So that makes two camps out there. There are those who embrace it and those that are fearful and avoiding it. So naturally avoiding it is not sustainable. What do you think the future of the platforms like Salus Pro is when it comes to AI? And quickly, how will it align with this technology?
Yeah. That's
Oh,
it.
we stumped him, folks.
It's not stumped. I'm just saying that's a big question for being. You want to play some music in a few seconds. So here's the reality. I think that from my perspective, it's a perspective, right? Everyone is entitled to their perspective. So
Just
the
for the
reality-
record, I'm on the camp of I love technology and I'm excited about it.
yeah, but I mean the thing is that these things do need to be challenged. All of this stuff needs to have both sides, and that's why I think perspective is important, and everyone should voice it so that we get to the right solution. The reality is that all disruption comes with that type of mindset. People that love it and embrace it, and people that are fearful of it and challenge it, and you need both to get to where you want to go. So I think when you look at AI, it is. I mean, it's scary because it's the fastest moving kind of technology in history. Really, the way that it's evolving is incredibly rapid. Now, the way that I also look at AI is like AI is almost like no matter what tool it is, it's like a newborn baby when you first pull it out, and before until you introduce it to content or whatever you're feeding it, it's really useless. And then once you start feeding, it starts learning and it starts educating itself and providing value, just like a child.
I
We
love
have
this analogy. That's great.
We have people that grow up to be great people. We have
Yeah.
people that grow up to be not so great people. And I think
Right.
that's some of the thing that people are worried about is like, what if, it's influence and it creates something that's evil? And it's like, yeah, these are the things that we have to think about, of course. But I anchor myself in what is the power that we can unlock with this. What good can come from this? I know there's tons of things that people are talking about with healthcare and everything else, because it's really pulling information together in a way that humans can't do on its own. I mean, the internet's a form of that, right? For the first time, we have an area of shared information. This is now able to synthesize that into something that can be easier to access and use. So safety. I think that for one, the first approach, we are very invested in AI. We are building a team around it, but we want to do it in the right way. And I think that's important.
Yeah.
You have to have trust, right? Like we want the industry to trust what Salus is doing with this. And we need to be the ones that are educating ourselves on the what AI can do, what it can't do, what information to feed it and what not to feed it. And we have to educate our customers and the industry on how to use it, because the reality is you're feeding it information. What information are you feeding it? Does your customers want you to feed it that information? Are you allowing the AI to just work within one customer profile, or are you using it across your database to pull information? Are you introducing it to external stuff as well? Because and those are the things that we have to really make sure that we nail down. and make sure that we're transparent on that so that our customers and the industry understand. Now, when you get into the usage for it, it really is endless in the health and safety side.
Mhm.
But when we were talking about before, like it's the power of the person using it. It can also be very bad, right? So think about health and safety for a second. We have these systems and processes in place to try and break up complacency, right? A lot of it is built around breaking out. You're going to do a task, you pull out a hazard assessment. The goal is that you stop and think about things that you wouldn't have thought about because it becomes repetitive and the complacency sets in because you're not scared to work at 40 floors up anymore, so on and so forth. And so if you introduce AI in the wrong way and allow a worker to just hit a button and all of a sudden it produces a form that then protects the business, that is
Right.
the worst possible thing you can do.
Yeah.
But if you use AI to start creating or simplifying the administrative side of safety, because the administrative side of safety should be automatic. That is not helping anyone to have a safety professional or a foreman or superintendent or anyone filing things, categorizing things, all that type of stuff, or even the process of like creating a safe work procedure or stuff like that. They're typing it out, all that type of stuff. I think that the reality is AI can help with a lot of that. So imagine you're on a job site and you need to create a new safe work procedure for something. You have some mechanical equipment, you have chemicals, you have your safety manual that's been loaded into the system. You can pull all that stuff together in a way that if somebody is doing it on their own, they would have to research that equipment and find statistics on it, find the chemical information, and pull it into that, pull the information from the safety program together. And to be honest, yes, they're writing it out, but they're probably missing the mark in a lot of areas because they're not pulling in that right information. The goal of that procedure is that you can hand it to a worker. They get access to all the information that they need to perform their job safely. So working with AI to allow them to get started, AI won't solve the problem. It won't create a final document. It'll get you 70% of the way there and ideally pull in the right information. And so those types of things across the board, like we could go on for hours, are things that can help around that. The thing that I think is really valuable in the future, it's something that AI can't do right now. How do we actually take AI and start changing the way that we break up complacency, right? How do we use it to change the way health and safety is managed today? From my perspective right now, the way that the safety community and businesses look at the regulations and understand what is required to protect their business and work and employees is through documentation, right? A lot of it is like that's the best way we know today to get a worker to stop and think. But the reality behind that is that we're introducing an academic process into a world that is typically doesn't learn through academia. Like I have trouble with reading comprehension, spelling, and the rest.
Yeah.
That is very common for our industry. And so when you put that in front of someone, there's an immediate wall that goes up. I was terrified to write out a toolbox talk or a hazard assessment. One is I couldn't really comprehend some of it. And two, I was so scared that the leader of the company, being me, was going to have spelling mistakes all over this form.
Yeah.
So what you're saying, Gabe, is this. If I get the message with AI, it's not the end all be all. It is something we have to manage carefully. And we have to be careful what goes in, comes out, garbage in, garbage out. So you wouldn't be the guy we would lean on to input any AI information. Is this what the message is?
Definitely not spelling and grammar.
Yeah.
I'm with you, Gabe. It's
Yeah.
really exciting. And what you're doing is exciting, but I think when people hear your heart, like certainly this, I mean, we're friends and we first met, I was like, this guy's heart is so for the people. And it was so refreshing. And just even listening to you talk now, like, yeah, you've got a successful business. You got, I don't even know how many people, your team seems to be growing by the tens of hundreds of people. But you are still so authentic about your people and people in industry. And I think that's what separates you from any other software company that I have spoken to.
Thank you.
So it's super cool. It's so great. It's so great to have you here. This has been
Thank you.
amazing.
Yeah, it has
Thank
been
you.
fun. And you know, we just have enough time to squeeze in one more song by David Guetta for Gabe Guetta. In case you missed it earlier, the Gabe Guetta doesn't listen to music, where the Dave Guetta makes spectacular music. How can that be? Somewhere the
Just
gene
put us
pool-
together.
Yeah, they're cousins. They're cousins.
They're
Yeah,
cousins.
yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
Well, that's like swearing at me when you don't listen to music, but that's okay. I can take
I know
it.
that I warned you before. I said, I'm sorry, man. I don't know if we can be friends anymore now that
Yeah.
you know this.
I
but
know this is
Oh,
new
good.
for me as
Yeah.
well. I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So no, listen, it puts you right up on top there, and I'll tell you why. I put you up on top because I get to pick the songs. I get to pick the songs, man. Yeah, let's listen to
Perfect.
more David Guetta. This is "I'm Good" Blue, featuring Bebe Rexha on Safety Debris.
I'm good, yeah, I'm feeling alright. Baby, I'ma have the best fucking night of my life. And wherever it takes me, I'm down for the ride. Baby, don't you know I'm good, yeah, I'm feeling alright. 'Cause I'm good, yeah, I'm feeling alright. Baby, I'ma have the best fucking night of my life. And wherever it takes me, I'm down for the ride. Baby, don't you know I'm good, yeah, I'm feeling alright. Don't you know I'm good? Yeah, I'm feeling alright. So I just let it go, let it go. Oh na 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 na, no I don't care no more, care no more. Oh na 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 na, so come on, let me know, let me know. Put your hands up, na na na, no baby, nothing's gonna stop us tonight. 'Cause I'm good, yeah, I'm feeling alright. Baby, I'ma have the best fucking night of my life. And wherever it takes me, I'm down for the ride. Baby, don't you know I'm good? Yeah, I'm feeling alright.
Oh yeah, a song that was never really intended originally to be released by David Guetta. It's a single that did very well for him. It kind of got leaked on TikTok, and then next thing you know, the demand was there for it. But they borrow from that Eiffel 65 hit song "Blue Daba Dee," if you remember that one. So that's the song it's based on. So, and
I
David
remember it.
Guetta. Yeah, yeah, it's a good song. Right
That was
on.
good. I'm downloading the song as we speak.
Oh my gosh, stop it.
So
Wow. So here we are. Now what?
Yeah.
thanks, Gabe, for
This
truly being here and sharing your passion, your love, your dream with us. Like, seriously, it's been super spectacular. I wish we would have more time with you. You know how we feel about you, but we definitely have to do a safety meets.
Yes.
Yes, we
again.
do. Yes, and
Get
thank you
that
for
on.
having me on the show. It's a great conversation.
It's been fun.
I really
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
Well, we'll pick up after where we left off over a side of fries and a big Montreal smoked meat.
Yeah, absolutely. And the next one I come on, I'll have to do some dancing lessons because I definitely have no idea what to do with my hands. Really, I have no rhythm. And it's just
What
we
does
might-
Rose do with you? What
she
does
does. Yeah, that's the question, right? That's
You're like one of her
she does
children.
stand-up comedy, and so I'm a part of most of that.
So she's very creative.
I'm the
like she's-
material.
Yeah, you're the material.
The subject matter.
Yeah,
And not the
exactly.
expert.
That's
No.
awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the digital alarm just sounded. You see what I
Oh,
did there? Yeah,
yes,
digital
I heard.
alarm. Thank you.
Yep. Yep.
Which means it's time to wrap up our episode with Gabe. Thank you for selecting our podcast, and I trust that you have enjoyed this safety debris episode with Gabe Guetta of Salus Pro. Thanks for sharing a little bit about yourself, Gabe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And
you're
it doesn't
welcome.
now, Richard, and you can tell we've been around a long time because it's not Salus Pro anymore. It's just Salus, right, Gabe?
It is Salus, and we are, Pro was like a product that we had. And we're actually going to be releasing something called Salus Foundations Pro and Enterprise, just so.
Nice.
a
Oh,
little
we're on the
sneak
inside scoop.
inside scoop.
Scoop on our podcast. That's so
Yeah.
cool. Well, I just
Just
wanted
released.
you to make sure that I was Tanya favorite between the two friends because I knew that it was just Salus now.
Yes,
Ah.
yes, absolutely,
That had to
absolutely.
come out somewhere.
Yeah.
so Tanya favorite. So
Tanya
thank
favorite.
you. Thank you, Gabe. And thank you for listening and joining us. And please like and subscribe to our podcast. If you would like, send us an email of who you want us to interview on our next show. You can email us your suggestions to safetydebris@gmail.com. Until next time, I am Tanya Steele.
And I'm Richard Dulong. And remember, don't let anyone ever tell you different. Safety does indeed have a personality. Guests like Gabe Guetta just proved that here today. As customary, we always close out our show with some Canadian music. Today, a little twist on that as I've chosen another selection from the world's #1 DJ of EDM. This one is a team effort with a Canadian singer. This is Dave Guetta featuring Justin Bieber singing To You on Safety Debris.
No limit in the sky that I won't fly for you. No amount of tears in my eyes that I won't cry for you. Oh no, with every breath that I take, I want you to share that air with me. There's no promise that I won't keep. I climb a mountain that's none too steep. When it comes to you, there's no crime. Let's take both of our souls and intertwine. When it comes to you, don't be blind. Watch me speak from my heart. When it comes to you, comes to you. Want you to share that. Cupid